Welcome to The Business Fighter with Henry Penix. Henry has been the CEO, founder, and consultant to hundreds of companies worldwide. He retired a multimillionaire, financially independent at the age of 35. Henry grew up a preacher's son and was thrown in jail 3 times for various altercations. He knows what it means to come from nothing and have to fight his way to the top. Henry is the business fighter who will teach you strategic skills for winning in business and in life. Don't just spectate, participate. It's time to get in the ring.
Hey, this is Henry Penix, the business fighter. I'm bringing you another podcast from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I just came in the office of one of the most amazing and interesting individuals that I've met in a long time. His name is Bob Barnard. This guy has raced cars, is a concert pianist, has a lot of success in different companies, has done ranching. I mean, this guy's done it all. He's had the freedom to do it all. And he's here to share with the audience some golden nuggets, leading by example how you can do the same. So with no further ado, Bob Barnard, welcome to the podcast.
Henry, thank you.
Yeah, very nice to see you. We've had just a few minutes to kind of spend together initially, but you were telling me of some of the different things that you had done. Mm-hmm. And we made some very good points as we were talking. Not everybody starts with the freedom and the opportunities that you have now. To kind of lead into this segment, can you take me back a little ways and give me some of the aspirations you had growing up in grade school, high school, kind of what you thought you were going to be, and then maybe what that turned into? Because it's probably not the same thing.
Well, it's not the same thing, as a matter of fact. And I'm not sure what I wanted to do when I was in grade school and high school and not even in college.
Right.
But I did pursue a track that gave me some opportunities and some flexibility and a variety of experiences and both real life experiences as well as education. Mm-hmm. And here I am with a degree in art and a master's in city planning, and ended up designing airports. Now,
oh my gosh!
kind of figure that deal.
Right.
But as we've talked, life is full of choices.
Right.
And opportunities if you want them, if you can identify those opportunities. And I think Yogi Berra might have said it the best: when you come to a fork in the road, take it.
Take it. Yeah, I love that.
And so he probably presented it very humorously, and,
right.
And I think we treat it humorously, but there's a lot of sense in that.
Right.
And life is full of forks in the road, and we make those decisions either consciously or subconsciously and on purpose.
Right.
And most of the time they work out.
Yeah.
And for me, most have worked out. Some obviously did not.
Right.
But
let's talk about that.
Ride.
Let's talk about that. So there's a fork in the road. Sometimes you're a little afraid or apprehensive maybe of taking it because you don't know where it's going to take you. Give me a fork in the road that you took that maybe you learned a lesson from, and then another one that was successful beyond what you could have imagined.
Well, I think the my initial livelihood was I was involved in urban design and had a company with a couple of partners, mm-hmm. Which I guess one of the first lessons is if you can, which is, I don't know how possible it is, if you can identify your partners and the success you may or may not have with them.
Yeah.
As it turned out, those 2 partners did not work out well.
Oh, no.
And so that was a decision that I had to make, mm-hmm. What I wanted to do.
Right.
And without damaging their careers and their efforts. So I chose to buy them out.
Right.
And pursue my own adventures, and opportunities. Mm-hmm. Which had circulated around the world of airports. Mm-hmm. And so we became a fledgling firm back in 1978, and that was not exactly the great time to go into business.
Right.
But we made it work and identified, some small clients, mm-hmm. and let it build on itself. And then there was a decision that I made being stuck out in Guyman, Oklahoma on a project that, right. Having driven out there on an airport project, uh-huh. that, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to drive out here all the time. So right. I came back and took flying lessons. So then I went through, that program, became instrument rated, multi-engine, And so that spread our area of coverage of who we could serve
Sure.
as clients.
Right.
Well, I think the message there is identify where your market is.
Right.
In some businesses, you've got a market in a locale that you can do well with. In a particular, there's not a lot of airports around, so you've got to spread your coverage.
Right.
And which we were able to do by flying ourselves into 4, 5, 6 states around Oklahoma.
Right.
And then we landed a project, which was our claim to fame, our beginning of success on a national basis in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Well, it's an air carrier airport. It's the only airport in a national park.
Right.
And that gave us, told us we wanted projects where we could go skiing.
Right.
So we expanded into the Rocky Mountains.
Oh, wow.
And in the surrounding states of Wyoming and Colorado, eventually opened an office
Right.
in Denver
Right.
to cover that part.
Wow.
So there are other opportunities in different parts of the country, and then you grow a market once you're in that. So,
Right.
That was, some decisions that we had to make that proved to be, very worthwhile.
So it started as a problem, and where most people would have maybe quit, and it could have totally ruined the business. It could have gone no further. You figured out a way to buy out your partners through whatever construct of a deal that you made to kind of pursue what you thought was right.
Right. And that's exactly right. And I was fortunate enough to have another partner who happened to be an employee and saw the light that this guy really needed to be in business with me, or I needed to be in business with him.
Yeah.
And became a partner in the company. And
Now, let me ask you about that. Did you kind of feel something about this guy? Because a lot of people go by science, and if you've got your master's in this or PhD in this, or if you can recite this, but I think there's that feeling on the inside that you know.
Yeah, it's that intuitive, go with your gut.
Yes.
Every time, go with your gut.
Yes.
Your
Okay.
head may say something, but go with your gut and your heart.
Guys, listen to this. This is a big deal for you out there looking and everything looks right on paper. The paper's only as good as the guy signing it. And if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And I know a lot of you guys are going to come back and say, oh, you're feeling. Yes, I am. I feel it. If I don't feel right about something, I don't do it, and neither should you. So you felt right about this guy.
I did.
And what happened?
And let me tell you the success of the story.
Yes.
We were able to accomplish a lot. We had fun.
Yes.
Our employees really liked the company. We had very little turnover.
Right.
Very little. And probably 5 or 10% all the years. We had a lot of 20, 25, 30, 35-year employees.
Right.
And my partner and I never had a disagreement. 37 years.
No way.
Never had a disagreement.
That's got to be a record.
Well, notwithstanding the fact that we probably disagreed. But here's another key, and that's respect. We had respect for each other, and we listened. We had different points of view, but that led to very successful conclusions because we listened and we communicated. And no doubt we had, who knows if we had disagreements. Because
Right. You just always worked it out.
Yeah. So we never had a disagreement.
That's amazing.
And nobody believes that.
Now, I think you're the first person I've ever interviewed with stories like that actually has said that. I don't think I've heard that.
Yeah, it's great. We had a great.
That's better than most marriages. So again, if you guys are getting ready to get married, go with your gut, right?
That's true.
Go with your gut. Oh man, that is so encouraging. So that led to success. What was a success? So what came from, you could have shut everything down, walked away from everything, been very discouraged. Your partners aren't the right partners. You took that next step, made it work. It expanded. You didn't like driving all the way out there, so you taught yourself, or you took flying lessons, learned how to fly. That expanded into another level of success. When you were out there, you figured out you wanted to go skiing. That's expanded into another level, which was Denver. I mean, it all came back. Trusting your gut, making that decision, parlayed everything into you now having the choices. And you were telling me off camera, that during that freedom, that freedom gave you the ability to go race cars. And I mean, we've got Porsches, Ferraris in the back of his office right now. You got to race cars, you did cattle ranching, you got to pursue your passion. If you get in a position like that with the freedom, you've trusted your gut, it's opened something, you've got the passion to do something. Do you think having passion for things opens up more energy so that you're better at yet other things?
Sure it does. And you learn by every experience. And, as I said at the very beginning, with a degree in art and a master's in city planning, well, think about that. Organizational skills, creativeness, people skills, willingness to work, and taking advantage of opportunities. And those are really kind of the foundation of a lot of different things. And, there's a design discipline. There's the specifications discipline. And so it all led to my partner was a lawyer.
Wow. And you never had a disagreement?
Never had a disagreement.
Wow. So,
and we're still great friends.
Yeah.
And the company still gets together. The old company, still in the old hands, so to speak, get together once a year. They come here.
It was a family.
We party. and we go out and we drive fast and we do all those things at a party, So, and what's refreshing to guys, and when you build, a company that's based on trust and respect at every level. And I think another key is we, as owners of the company, did not act like that. We were just...
You weren't better than anybody else. You were part of the crew.
We were. And
I agree.
We would do it. And don't ask anybody to do anything that you wouldn't do yourself.
Wow.
Don't ask anybody to stay up all night getting that last proposal out that you're not there with them. And so...
Lead by example.
Yeah, exactly. And people respond. And at the same time, people may doubt themselves. Can I really do this? Is he really expecting more out of me than I'm able to deliver? I mean, this applies, in general. And so, you let people learn, and I always use the expression: give them enough rope, and they'll make a choice. Either they'll hang themselves,
or skip it,
or they'll skip it, or jump it. But that rope is, always there. Not after a while, of course, but you can always kind of tug on it a little bit, and they know. But they also know that you're there to back them up, and people respond accordingly.
So you didn't know all these things were going to work together to make you who you are today. And I'm not saying this. I mean, we've already got the interview. I'm not trying to impress you, but you're an amazing individual. You even down to what you're wearing, you're looking cool. You've got art all over the place, the piano, the cars, the Porsches, the Ferraris. I mean, you're like cool, but you didn't know all those things back then was going to make you this person today. What would you tell people that are confused? Maybe they're in their 20s or 30s and they've done 5 or 6 different things and they don't know if it's all going to work out or work together. Like, how do they stay encouraged? What do they think about? What if they were sitting here on this couch? Tell them what you would tell them to give them some encouragement.
Stay motivated. Do things for the right reason, not just because you're expected to do it and not because you think it's cool. I don't think of these things as particularly being cool. I enjoy it. And, I enjoy the cars for what they are. The refinement, the technology, the exactness, the creativeness that went into them.
You didn't go out and buy them just to show a friend?
No.
Just to be cool?
Not at all.
It was your passion?
It was a passion. And art has always been a passion. Nothing here is for investment. It's all because I like it. So if I would try to sell it, I'd learn that real quick because I like it. But you do things because you like it, because it is a passion. And make up your own mind. And again, go with the gut. And it has to be a passion. Or, I think you can succeed without a passion in certain areas. But if you're in a creative area, and most disciplines are in a creative area, then it's going to take, I think, that kind of an attitude.
Mm-hmm.
So,
just wrapping this up, if you, just two more questions, if you don't mind. If you had to do anything over, and you could write the playbook over on any one of the 100 things that you've done or that you're doing, is there one thing that stands out that you would have done different, and why?
I have no regrets.
Love that.
Now, would I have chosen a different course? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
There's times I would have liked to have been successful in drilling an oil well.
Right.
There's, I've often wanted to be a car dealer.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's things that, we kind of would have liked to have done.
Right.
But as it's turned out, travel is a big deal. My passions are enjoyment. I'm into volunteering. With some pretty special organizations, which I never really thought I would be doing.
Really?
And, you get caught up in the business world, and then when you sell a company or you retire in some cases, and then you say, what's next? So then, sometimes the old adage is it takes 10 years to get a business going. And I don't think that's far from the truth. I think, some businesses can take off pretty quickly, but, I think the rule of thumb is it takes 10 years to get where you really want it to be, more or less. So when I sold the company, I'd like to say I wasn't willing, but I think age catches up, and I'm not sure there was 10 years left, to do anything. So you find avenues that give you satisfaction and pleasure, and helping people and who are perhaps less fortunate physically and financially and so forth. And so that's where my efforts have gone. And so in one particular instance, I'm involved in the physical development of a residential community, for example. So that takes me back to my professional days of being involved in building and
your creative side comes out.
And so forth. And another one is very interested in, or the principal aspect of it is art. And so, get to enjoy those things at work. And so we're able to travel as well. So
Right.
Yeah.
So guys, I hope you will replay this 50 times, because you're talking to a living legend who has went out, done these things, done them very successfully. It's given him the opportunity to follow his passion, to be creative, and even some of the what other people would call missteps and misfortunes, he's turned into fortunes by following his passion and by making those right decisions. And one of the biggest things that you said, Bob, was going with your gut. And I don't know why I want to just speak on that another 60 seconds. It may look great on paper. Everything may look like it's going to come up roses. It may even, I've dealt with some people before that there's more decimal points and there's more zeros at the end of it. So they stop trusting their gut and they go after the dollar. And 9 out of 10 of those fail because they've not followed their passion, but they've just went after the dollar, or somehow it looks good on paper and they follow it, but they really didn't follow their passion. What you said that I thought was so important, and I want to reiterate this now, is when you get that gut feeling, go with it. And that's what you've done.
Whether it's to go forward or
stop. Yes, either one. Guys, if you don't learn anything else, go with your gut and keep going. Don't give up. If there's a fork in the road, take it. Don't be afraid. And you too will live a life like this guy exemplifies, through following your passions and having love, enjoyment. When I talked to Bob, and I thought I was ending, this is my third close. When I talked to him and came in and he smiled with me and he smiled with his eyes, and you could tell he was a man who gave and loves life. And I automatically just wanted to be like him. I didn't even know him, but that's what you give off. And that's the first thing that I thought. And you don't meet a lot of people like you. So thank you so much for this time that you've taken out of your busy
Been
day,
fun.
showing me around your office, the cars, the Porsches, the Ferraris. Like I said, I want to talk to you more very soon.
Cool.
So thank you very much, guys.
You're welcome.
Bob, Henry, Business Fighter, tune in when this hits the airs on our podcast, and we hope you learned something. Thank you.